everyone. I am your host, Tamara Ford, and welcome to Book Chat here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Glad to see you. Here on Book Chat, we get bookish with book roundtable discussions, recommendation lists, author interviews, and more. If you'd like to check out book reviews and other bookish posts, please visit the blog at shelfaddiction.com. This is episode 175. Tonight on Book Chat, I am interviewing author Beaird Glover. His poems have been published in the New York Quarterly, as his chapter book of poetry was selected by the Austin Chronicle as one of the top 10 best of 1994. He's also published titles The Secret Ciphers and the book we'll be talking about tonight, Blue Bottle Tree. Beaird now lives in New Orleans with his wife Kim and their cats. He's here to talk with us tonight about Marie Laveau and the magic of New Orleans, which is the place that inspired his book, Blue Bottle Tree. All of Beaird's social media links are below in the show notes, so if you'd like to connect, you know where to find him. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like and share it. Show your support by rating the podcast and leaving a positive review on Apple Podcasts or your listening app of choice. If you'd like to comment on something you've heard during today's episode, you can find me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. If you'd like to email in feedback or questions, feel free to reach out to me at info@shelfaddiction.com or call in and leave an internet voice message via SpeakPipe or the Anchor app. The links are below in the show notes. Hey Beaird, thank you for joining me today. How have you been?
Hi Tamara, glad to be here.
Thank you. So, is it a little warm where you are? Are you feeling any of the winter?
Yeah, in New Orleans, it was very cold last week. We had down to 19 and freezing, and everything froze on my palm trees are frozen. And then this week we're back up to mid-50s. So it was quite a burst last week. The whole city just about shut down, where everyone had their pipes freeze, and we don't, have insulation or wrapped pipes. No one thinks about that here. So the occasional freeze really throws us for a loop.
Oh no, that's dreadful. I'm sorry to hear about that.
Well, we're getting back to business now and got Mardi Gras coming, so everybody's looking forward to that.
Oh, awesome. So when is Mardi Gras, by the way? I kind of know, but I don't really know.
Me too. I kind of know, but I don't really know. I think it's in the next couple of weeks. I hear people are talking about it, so I think it's may begin the 1st of February or maybe the 2nd or 3rd of February or something. It's a long process of several weeks of parades and, dozens of parades before we finally get to the Fat Tuesday, the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoy the ones the few days before, the weekend before, are also a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool. I've never been. I'm going to have to put that on my list of things to do, on my travels. So definitely.
Well, for Mardi Gras, I recommend coming on the Saturday and Sunday, either a week or even 2 weeks before the Fat Tuesday, because then you could enjoy the parades without the crowds. And they still throw a lot of beads and they still have great floats with all funny stuff. And, there are a lot of parades. It's not just that last one.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, that's good to know. I had no idea. I learned something new.
I didn't know that either till I got here. Yeah.
How long have you been in that area?
About 10 years, I guess, in New Orleans.
So I'm going to assume that this book kind of came to be as a result of you being in New Orleans, yes?
Well, that's a good thought. Yeah, I got interested in Marie Laveau and voodoo, and then it all just sort of came together as I guess I was, researching or just taking an interest in it, and as my interest, filled out into research, and then a story started to develop, and I just kept following it and looking harder at how it all really worked, how voodoo worked, or how Marie Laveau did.
So, okay, your book, Blue Bottle Tree, is described as a contemporary Southern Gothic adventure. So this is an interesting genre mashup. Can you tell us a little bit about how voodoo and all of that kind of ties into this book?
Well, one of the main characters is named Seven LeVay, and he is the 7th generation child, great grandchild of Marie Laveau. So his grandmother, I think, is the great granddaughter, maybe, of Marie Laveau, and that's the I don't know, the historical link there, and
Hmm.
the idea of the Gothic is something old and kind of mysterious.
Okay. So, what did you find in your research that caught your attention about, the magic of New Orleans with, the combination of voodoo and then by extension looking into Marie Laveau? Like, what did you find that was the most interesting or the most
Well,
unusual?
as the next book is going to have a lot more about the real Marie Laveau, or have our characters are going to travel back in time and spend some time with her. But when I really got into it, the mystery of Marie Laveau is what is just so fantastic, because she was an extremely powerful woman at the time. You can imagine she was I can't remember when she died, in 1881, and her death pronouncement was in the New York Times 3 days later. So for a woman of color in New Orleans in 1881, she had a extremely uh, well known, or that the fact that information traveled to New York and got her into the New York Times. But I guess what's so good about it is she had a powerful group of friends, or that she knew everybody, and so she could predict the future, and even tell people about what happened in their own past, because of the what I call the Grapevine Boulevard. That she just knew everything about everybody, because of the extraordinary network she had, and that made it seem like she was a great fortune teller, and made it seem like she had more mystical powers than maybe she really did.
Laveau was known as a psychic in a way, or more like a witch in a way.
Well, maybe both. The queen of the voodoos, and the legends and all these the things surrounding her are exaggerated, and but she did have a great power. She was a really important person, and she was just a great woman, I guess. And so I'm doing my very best to tell the truth about her experience, or what I think really, really did happen. And it's not the picture that I think we've seen before. It's not what's been painted in the past of voodoo. There's a lot more, trickery, like in magic, where there's a secret trick that you don't know, that's making these
Mm-hmm.
potions work. That's making all this stuff really happen. Although if you don't know the trick, then you can be easily
Yeah.
swayed to believe that it's real magic.
It's funny, like, as a side note to this, while we're talking, I literally just remembered, like, in my freshman year of college, this girl I knew, um, she used to dabble in things and everyone thought she was a little weird. But, she says if you don't believe in it, nothing can happen to
Yeah.
you. So, so I guess that kind of is, a reflection of this whole voodoo thing as well. Like, if you don't know or if you don't believe in it, then nothing will happen. If you don't know the trick, nothing will happen, right?
Well, that's right, and then also it's true that the power of suggestion can be very, very strong, and it really works.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I believe that the mind is very powerful. Your mind can heal your body. Your mind can do a lot of things, and your mind could do bad things to you as well if you get that in your head. It's all about, not to get into, like, the secret and all of that, but I believe if you think something positive, think good things could happen. If you think something negative, if you think something is going to happen to you, it just might. So,
Yeah. Yes, and all that stuff is true. That's totally true. And then Marie Laveau also being a person of extraordinary charisma, I think that the kind of person that could walk into a room and just everyone would flock to her, and want to um, hear everything she says, and that she could just make anything she wanted, and control people like that. And I don't think she was bad. I don't think she did bad stuff. I think she did a lot of good stuff.
so when you learned all of this about her and then you decided, okay, well, I'm going to turn this information into a book. Did you fictionalize some of the things about Seven's history, or did you kind of keep it true to what you found?
Well, Seven is totally fictional. I don't know any seventh
Right.
generation of Marie Laveau. I don't know if there's anything. I couldn't find anything past. I guess her own children and her grandchildren, or maybe even just her children, of which I think there were four documented. And she was very Christian. She had her children baptized, but she probably had adopted maybe 10 others. So that's a weird mystery that the books will, well, one says one thing and the other says the
Mhm.
other. That And the very best research that I found, I think she really had four children because she would have had them all baptized, and the others are adopted. And anyway, though, for Seven, he's totally fiction because I don't have any idea what happened in the years to her her children
Right,
after
but
that.
Seven knows that his ancestor is Marie Laveau, right?
Oh, right. So the idea that and his grandmother is actually sort of a spirit channeler that channels the real Marie Laveau. So yeah, they know, the family knows, they know that it's as if I imagined what might have happened, or just created a family to follow in the footsteps in the history of Marie Laveau. But
Hmm.
it's all fiction. They don't really exist.
Right, of course.
I mean, but they're not even based on real people. I guess that's what
Okay,
you're
so
asking.
even the Marie Laveau character in your book is fictionalized.
Well, the Marie Laveau doesn't really show up much in Blue Bottle
Mm,
Tree. She does show up in the Grapevine Boulevard, and that's where they go back and meet her, and that tries to be as close to accurate as possible. But
mm,
Marie LeVay is Seven's grandmother, and she is fictionalized. There's some ideas where she's thinking about Marie Laveau maybe and talking about her, but no, that's really fiction.
okay. So when I was looking at the description of the book, it looked like Seven, could he be a zombie? Is that what I read?
Well, he does get turned into a zombie.
Okay. So I find that very interesting. Can you kind of explain how you kind of got from not necessarily giving us plot points, but
Yeah.
what kind of in your mind said, okay, I'm talking about magic. We're in New Orleans, we're talking about voodoo, and now we're going to turn you into a zombie.
Well,
Like,
that's one of the most. That's really the heart of the book. That is the
yeah.
crux of the book, and Seven is a real zombie. That's that's the really funny thing, or that's the good thing, and that he's not the Walking Dead. He's not the 28 days later or whatever it was that those zombies. He's a real
Mhm.
zombie, and I got the idea from this, and this is maybe how I really got rolling on the book. Was from a book I read called "The Serpent and the Rainbow," where Harvard biochemist, I'm not sure what he was, ethnobiologist, he went to Haiti to find out about tetrodotoxin, and that is in the pufferfish. The pufferfish and sushi, you have to be very careful with it, or if
Mhm.
you cut it wrong, or you eat the wrong part, it could kill you.
Right.
Well, so they have these pufferfish in Haiti, and so part of the uh, uh, potion or something that they can give to people is this puffer fish along with other stuff, and it makes a person appear dead. And so if they take just the right amount. And so
Wow.
there was a guy that's mentioned in the book, Clavius Narcissus, I think, who went into a hospital in Haiti. He was pronounced dead by two American doctors that were there. His sister signed and fingerprinted the death certificate. And then 20 years later, he showed up again. And what had happened is that he had been exhumed by the guy or whoever had turned him into a zombie by giving him the tetrodotoxin, made him seem like he was dead. And then he came and the guy kept him as a zombie for all those years, using another drug that was in, they call it zombie cucumber, but
Oh my gosh, that sounds like a horror story.
it's horrible, it's true,
Yeah.
but there's enough of it that they had to put in a penal code about making zombies, that it's illegal to bury someone who's still alive because it was happening so much. It's hard to imagine that people could appear dead frequently enough that they would have to make a law about it.
Oh
But
my
there
gosh.
is a virtually law about not making zombies or not burying people alive in Haiti because it
Oh
happened.
my gosh. It sounds like they're just trying to kidnap people under the guise of killing them.
Yeah, well, that's true. And then they treat them badly and they work them to death. But everyone else assumes they're dead, so they keep them. Uh, keep them, yeah, kidnapped, I guess, and drugged to the point
Mm-hmm.
of senselessness.
Mm.
And so there's some horrible stories about this happening, and that's the scary, scary voodoo. That's and it's based on real stuff that give somebody just the right amount of pufferfish, and it will uh, make them look dead. And so that's what happens to Seven in the story: is that the bad guy gives him the pufferfish and makes him seem like uh, he's dead. He gets pronounced dead, and then take it from there. Then
Oh, wow.
he has to they have to figure out his way out of there. And
Mm-hmm. Wow. Poor Seven. Oh my gosh. Okay, so
so it's a real zombie. That's the zombie part.
yeah, so this is a YA read. What age range is this geared toward to within that, band?
Well, the people who seem to like it the most are older, I guess, or uh, uh, not teenagers. We assumed, or we thought, that maybe the audience would be young adults because the young adults are the characters in it. But so far, we haven't got a lot of attention from the young adult audience. The people who have read it that seem to like it the most are older, middle aged people, or closer to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, so how old is Seven? Is he like 17 or 18?
Yeah, he's. I guess he's 16. He's a
Oh,
junior in high school, and then Penny, his girlfriend, she's a senior in high school.
ooh, older women.
Just a little, yeah.
Wow. Well, you know what though? Adults read YA. I read YA. So honestly, YA is just an age range sometimes that people, they just put it in the YA because the characters are technically under 18.
Right.
Although, do you think that the subject matter is YA or do you feel like it's more adult? That's why adults like it.
Well, that's my opinion. I think that it's more adult, and that it just doesn't work very well for the teenagers. They don't seem to like it, and they say it gets confusing because the point of narration changes from one character to the other. And people who've read a lot of books are enjoy it and don't mind that sort of thing. But younger people, it seems to confuse them,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I think it's probably would be better enjoyed by people who are not
Mm.
teenagers, maybe.
Mhm. Yeah. I don't know. I could go on a rampage about young adults and why publishers consider everything YA, and that's a whole nother thing. So we won't go there. But
I don't know. I really don't know. That's. I guess I thought that originally because the characters are that age. But
Mhm.
yeah, this getting into the part of having a real zombie, and he's dead, and his stream of consciousness while dead and locked in. Uh, you know, um, Out of body experience. And
Yeah,
it seems like it's pretty heavy for
yeah.
a teenager.
And definitely, like when you are dealing with something about like magic and voodoo and things like that, I know you had to probably do a lot of world building to bring it to life. And sometimes a lot of world building and a lot of characterization and heavy plot, that's a lot for an actual teen to read.
Yeah, yeah. That it would. I guess so. It's hard to configure all that of how this voodoo works because no one's ever really. I don't know. I don't think it's very popular. No one knows much about it, and so I'm bringing all these elements up of this and that are supposed to be real voodoo curses and real voodoo potions and stuff. And
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that really caught my attention when it came to your book was the fact that it talked about voodoo and Marie Laveau and, the history of it, just because it's not something that's really common. And I read a lot of fantasy, paranormal, urban fantasy, and
Yeah.
I cannot think of ever one book that I've read that talked about voodoo in it.
Well, they have a few. The novels, I don't know. I guess Robert Talent, and this was written a long, long time ago. That might have been and his novel was called The Queen of Voodoo. That might have been the only novel I've read about it. But there are a few. Um, I don't think I read the other ones though. I
Yeah.
read the real histories, but not the sensationalizing and what I understood or what I uh, thought was going to be just completely made up and
Hmm.
not very interesting. I just didn't read all those novels about her, but there are some.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're out there. It's just not, it's not the hot topic. And that's
No,
what
you're
makes
right.
it even
Yeah,
more interesting. Right now, it seems like everyone is they're still on the whole vampire werewolf thing and
yeah.
witches, but this is like another take on it. And I think that's really unique.
Well, for the sake of the zombies, the Walking Dead was really popular whenever I was writing this a couple of years ago. But this is a totally different zombie because it's real zombies. This is
Mm,
it's true that there are people that this has happened to, that they were drugged to the point of just barely staying alive, that their heart rate is so diminished, their breathing capacity so diminished that they were pronounced dead by doctors, and then they lived in a pretty terrible situation after that.
yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned that this is going into a second book. Have you planned for a trilogy or more than that?
Well, I don't know. We're getting to the end of I finished the second book and I've revised it twice, and I think there might be a continuance. What would be the continuance is that we've sort of established Penny as a new Voodoo Ann. She's taken over, and so she she could have a superhero sort of status where she's fighting the bad guys or they're people who do bad things, and then she has to go and voodoo them or go and use curses and potions and that sort of stuff to bring them to justice. And that might happen. I don't know yet. I know that I finished this second book, and I'm happy with it. When it ends, it's got us all wrapped up, and then but she could go on from that to be a superhero type.
Wow, I like it. So is Penny like, does she get equal FaceTime as Seven does, or is she like really a true secondary character in the first book?
Oh, I think she's probably the main character in the first book.
Okay.
It's more from her point of view than anybody else's.
Oh,
So
okay. So
yeah, yeah.
you have written a book primarily from a female point of view?
Well as I could, and the second one is all her point of view. Yeah,
Wow. Okay. So how do you think you
first person
did? I mean,
narration from Penny.
how do you think you did? I mean, I always like to see something different. And usually men are more comfortable writing from a male point of view.
Yeah, yeah.
So you don't see it a whole lot when it's from a female point of view. So how do you think you did with that personally?
Well, I felt okay with it. I was disappointed that one of the reviewers said it was casually sexist. So that
Casually
certainly
sexy. What does that
no
mean exactly?
sexist
Oh,
like other sex
sexist. Oh,
pig,
casually sexist. Oh
Yeah, so that was in one of the reviews, and I was disappointed. But other than that, I don't think anyone's mentioned it. I feel like I carried it off okay.
no. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I certainly hope
Well,
so. Didn't mean to be casually sexist.
oh my gosh, casually sexist. I've never really heard that put those two words put together before. Casually
Yeah, I
sexist.
think that's it. Or casual sexism. I don't know. Something like that. Whatever it
Oh,
was, just kind of flipped it out there like I wasn't really a great guy. So,
oh no. Well, you seem
well,
okay.
it's just one review.
That's true. And that's the thing about um being a reader, there's this, I guess it's a saying, no two readers have read the same book, right? It's really an
Yeah.
individual, perspective when we read something. So for that matter, you as the writer, you won't be able to please everyone 100% of the time. It's just not possible.
Yeah. Well, I did my best, and
Yeah.
certainly I felt like I had a good idea of what Penny would be thinking and what the situation was and tried to just build it from as well as I could. And I don't know. You're right. It's up to everybody whether or not they agree, if they think I did it, or if I failed. I don't know. I did the best I could.
Wow. Wow. I mean, this sounds very interesting. You guys definitely check out Blue Bottle Tree. All of Beaird's links are below. You will find his social media down there. You'll find the Amazon link for his books and a few other books as well. So definitely give those a click. And Beaird, is there anything else you'd like to share about Blue Bottle Tree before we sign off for the night?
I don't know. I'm not used to giving interviews, so I apologize for being so nervous. But no, that's all. Thank you for talking about it. I really enjoyed talking with you, Tamara.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening and spending your time with us this evening. And I will catch you on the next book chat. Take care, everyone. If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.